Welcome to another edition of Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan. Brendan, who's catching his breath. He may have only gotten in the studio a minute and 10 seconds ago.
Let me get the mic to my face here.
There you go. You're
Jeff,
not even panting into the microphone. That's
great. I'm good. It's funny. Our benevolent leader, dictator Ann. I was on with Punchlines this week, and it's really funny. We're professionally unprofessional. I think it kind of starts with Ann. I mean, when I was on Punchlines and the guys behind the booth, it's kind of the same thing. Just Frank's funnier than us, so I mean, it just works out where he makes better jokes.
He gets paid to be funny.
True.
You and I just get laughed at
a lot.
Well, I'll tell you who's not laughing is Alex Bowman.
No, he is not.
Now there are probably a few crew chiefs saying, "I might have screwed the pooch on this one." But you don't know what you don't know. But Alex Bowman, the last time he won a race was in Las Vegas back in 2022, Pennzoil 400. And Alex Bowman pulled off a huge upset, gets himself locked into the playoffs, or we think. We still have 6 races left.
Are you on what I've been on the last couple of years?
Well, only because of some of the surprises that we've seen. I mean, an Austin Cindric surprise this year, a Daniel Suarez surprise this year. Really, Alex Bowman winning this race, I think, was a surprise. Joey Logano used strategy the week before to get a win.
But those are guys that we thought all season long would be winners. We didn't start this season thinking Joey Logano would not have just one win. We really didn't start this season thinking Alex Bowman would not have a win. So those are two guys that I don't consider the long shots, right? The guys on the outside looking in. They're just guys that happen to have a bad season that got a win, that were on the cusp of not getting in. And remember how many years has it been, Jeff, that I've been going 18 winners. Yeah. And I think I gave up on that one at like week 4 this year. And now we're closer than we've been in a bunch of years. It could happen.
Yeah, and we've only really got one wild card race left in the regular season, that being Daytona. There's only 6 races left, so we're really getting close. Even though the playoffs don't start until September, the Olympic break that's going to be coming up whacks 2 weeks out of it. So only 6 races left. Real quick, before we get into the Chicago details, some news this week. Noah Gragson officially announced as a new driver for Front Row Motorsports. We knew that was coming, but for Noah, it's great.
Another one of those worst kept secrets in the sport. Josh Berry. Although I will say the shocker to me was Rodney Childers.
Rodney Childers going to Spire.
Look, Rodney was at Penske years ago. Rodney was at Penske with me in 2004. He was my car chief. So Rodney's been to Penske, and I really thought that they would try to take like Josh Berry, Rodney, and a lot of those guys. Good on Spire. I'll tell you what, Spire is starting to really, that was a team that, Jeff, when they started, you got to go way back if you remember the history. They started because the lawsuit with, what was the guy's name that bought Red Bull? BK Racing.
Okay, yeah.
That's how Spire started. They started those charters. BK Racing, remember, he didn't do the right stuff, and he got sued, and NASCAR pulled the charter, and then it was up and Spire got the first one, and then Spire got a second one, and then Spire owned 4 at one point and sold 2, and Spire has turned into, it's a marketing company. Spire Racing was not a race team. They're a marketing company.
Right.
They were an ad agency that just said, we see value in this for their advertising partners. And they've turned into, watch out. Look,
you got Ty Norris over there, and Ty, who's worked at DEI back in the day, and Ty, who's been around for a long time. Worked at RJ Reynolds, so you've got a lot of experience over there. And I wonder if, for Rodney Childers, if it's not an example of kind of like what Chris Rice has been able to do with Colleague, a guy that's been able to give control. Greg Zippadelli had somewhat that control. So even though I know he's going to be the crew chief for Corey LaJoie, I've got to believe his role and his, I guess the requirements he's going to have are going to be a lot more.
I know Rodney pretty well, and part of me says that Rodney just wants to be the crew chief and just wants to focus on his job. But part of me also says Rodney is that good that if you gave him that competition-esque director type role, something a little more than just a crew chief, that Spire would thrive. And I think Rodney, he's such a dude. He is the definition of that Southern kid, right? I mean, I tried to move him out here to Vegas in 2005 to be my crew chief. Thank God, best decision he ever made, not coming out here with me. And I think that Rodney could be that leader. I don't know if he really wants it, but if he does take that role, that Spire team, watch out. And Hocevar's been doing great, right? I mean, Hocevar had a good season. Corey having what we consider a bad season. So I think that Corey, I think you and I were both thinking that, especially when it pertains to this show, we were going to be betting on Corey a lot more often this year. We thought we saw some good things, and he has been a tick lower, but Hocevar has been a bunch higher. He's cashed some tickets.
And you've got Michael McDowell heading over there, and there's a Daytona 500 winner. Guy's got 2 wins on the Cup Series, but a guy who now is competitive every week. I mean, he literally, I think, can go to mile-and-a-half tracks and mile tracks, and you say, hey, he's got a chance to win.
Absolutely.
I mean, yes, his odds are long, but we don't sit there and say, oh, my God, can you believe Michael McDowell?
No, we used to say that.
We used to say that with Front Row. We don't anymore.
Front Row Motorsports used to say road course or super speedway, and then after that, we just kind of pushed him off to the side. Anymore, you pointed out Todd Gillen was having a great, Todd Gillen, what is he, 19th, 20th in points, something like that? He's in the conversation, or at least before this Alex Bowman win, which shook some things up. But he's in that conversation just on the cusp of that playoff grid. So it's further now, but he still was on the cusp.
Well, and Todd and Noah will be teammates, and then we'll have a third driver over there. I mean, if I'm a betting guy, I'm going to say it's going to end up being Zane Smith, but who knows who's going to end up over there.
Well, but Zane's on.
But the problem is, if Trackhouse puts SVG in the third Cup car, then Zane needs somewhere to go. We'll see what happens. I just said if I'm guessing, that's what I would say. But all right, let's turn our attention this past weekend in Chicago. We did still have a little bit of rain, but it wasn't like what we dealt with the year before. So the first thing I think we have to talk about is the decision by a number of crew chiefs, and it really affected Christopher Bell probably more than anyone, but also Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Ty Gibbs, to come in and put on slicks when the track was still damp with, roughly 15 laps to go? Well, knowing that we had a time limit on the race, we weren't going to run to the end. I guess hindsight's 2020, it was a bad call, but you know what the announcers were saying? They said, you want to be the first, but you don't want to be too early.
Well, but here's the thing. What I like is, remember, what was it, a couple weeks ago, the rain deal at New Hampshire, where NASCAR kept that control that the fans screamed and yelled about, right? The fans did not like that NASCAR didn't let people put tires on. NASCAR made people come back in and take tires back off that they had put on. And I said this then, let NASCAR have time and they'll let this roll. Well, Chicago is a race that they've had in the rain before, just like COTA, just like any road course. And NASCAR goes, on you guys. That's why they do it. Crew chiefs took a shot. If I'm a driver with a guy, now SVG got taken out earlier in the day.
Unfortunate for him.
Had SVG been the guy that put on slicks, SVG probably would have been able to win. Here's the thing. A guy like SVG, you put him on slicks, you put him on rains, he's going to be fine either way because, one, he knows how to drive that slick through the rain, and find the right stuff. He also knows how to drive the wet weather tire through the dry. He knows what to look for. So it would have been a great strategy for an SVG, but everybody else doesn't have that experience. And it hurt Christopher Bell the most.
And look, if honestly, I still think if Reddick doesn't clip the wall, he's probably going to win the race because he was gaining on him literally a second every corner because of the race.
And he had the slicks on.
He had the slicks on, and the track had dried up enough. Well, Alex Bowman came through for the bettors big time. If you bet on Alex Bowman this week, he was 80-1 to win this race and 20-1 for a top 3. He won Group D at plus 320. He was the long shot there. Chevy was a heavy favorite to win this race, so he came in minus 120. Didn't do much for Chevy. Now, his championship odds, we need to talk about this. So he opened the season at 50-1, but he was 75-1 this time last week.
Yes.
Now he is 25-1. Boat missed.
What have I been saying for weeks, Jeff? There's guys that were names that were huge value still, and I kept naming Alex Bowman. He was a value. He had that big number. At 25-1, I still think Alex Bowman's a value. He's getting further and further away from the injury with his back and his head. He's getting himself cleared up, getting everything, and now he's got a W, doesn't have that pressure. I think that he's still a value at 25-1. But how about 20-1 for a top 3? I mean, that's a huge number.
It was a huge number. And you take a look at the entire top 10, and it's a pretty crazy top 10. Tyler Reddick came in second. Not a big surprise there, plus 170. Ty Gibbs, plus 500. Somebody picked that. Brendan was very happy to see Joey Hand's car start to fall
fade
there late.
Gently.
But speaking of Joey Hand, running for RFK Racing, the third car with Keselowski and Buescher, He gets a career best 4th win. He won a stage. In fact, it was the first time in NASCAR history that the first 2 stages have been won by non-full-time drivers. SVG won stage 1. Yep. Joey Hand won the 2nd one. Michael McDowell, we know what he can do on road courses, coming in 5th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., where did that come from?
That
with a
shocked
6th.
me.
Todd Gilliland with a 7th. Great run for him. William Byron, Kyle Busch, who desperately needed a top 10, and Ryan Blaney rounded out the top 10. But, man, what a smorgasbord, if you will, of drivers.
The Joey Hand deal, we didn't talk much about him, but Joey Hand, great job, great driver, great job. But Ty Gibbs bringing home the plus, I think it was like a 500, 600, whatever I had. Or
plus 500.
Plus 500,
yeah. Plus you get your dollar back.
I told you, I had a feeling about Ty.
You were right.
He looked great on Saturday, too.
Now, what this also did to our standings is it has now put Chris Buescher firmly on the bubble. Now, on the bubble, but he's also 45 points to the good right now over Bubba Wallace. And literally, Bubba Wallace might be the only guy left who can point his way in. Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch are now 90 and 100 points back. To make up that in 6 races is going to be...
You can. I mean, one blown motor, one bet.
But you also got to climb over other drivers,
just
too.
2. But, I mean, all you have to do is climb over 2. I mean, Chris Buescher has a flat tire on lap 2 at Pocono. That takes that whole thing away. But the biggest thing is, you mentioned it earlier, when we get to the schedule, it's what's coming up on the schedule. Well, that will change it.
And you're right. And with Daytona coming up, that could be certainly part of it.
And the Brickyard's a little bit of a
right. So we have 6 left. This weekend we're going to Pocono, then Indianapolis. We're going to take a 2-week break for the Olympics, then Richmond, Michigan, and Daytona. That's our next 5 races. We only got 6 left in the playoffs. So I think you're kind of right. I think the one you kind of circle on there is going to be the Daytona one.
Well, if you're a Chase Briscoe, if you're any of these guys that are just outside the bubble, Todd Gillen, front row, has been so great at those places. If you're any of those places, you are absolutely circling those going, we got a shot.
Well, and not a shocker if somebody wins at one of these other tracks either. Okay, we'll come back on Gaughan Racing. We'll start giving you the odds for this weekend's race in Pocono, Pennsylvania.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back to Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley alongside Brendan Gaughan. Brendan, it's great to have you back in the studio this week after a little vacationing and photo bombing from your son Rylan and everything else last week in Colorado.
Well, we've had that. We've had the bull in Mexico. We've had the Mexican with the bull in the back of his pickup. When I do my listen, I go to the cool places. We have cool stuff happen. We had Rochelle Rice photo bomb. We've had Rylan. We've had the bull. I definitely like my unique places I go.
And all I get is the wall. The wine.
He gets the wall of a media center.
Wall of a media center. Well, I don't have. What's that fancy thing that you have to get when you're in like Mexico that gets
Starlink.
Yeah.
Thanks, Elon.
Although we've seen it sometimes it struggles.
Well, we got to fix now. Well, it's not fixed. You got to pay for the higher cert. He put tiers on it. Just a normal Elon Musk thing. It's all going to be this, and then, well, hold on, we have a higher demand now, so you got to keep bumping.
Oh, that's like cars. $50,000. Oh, you wanted a speedometer? Oh, that's another $3,000. Oh, you need a gear shift? Oh, we're gonna have $3,000 for that. Oh, you want a radio? Really?
A side note: I met Elon years ago at a party, and I want to talk to him about the Herpses wanted to do electric gas stations, like Herp stations, right? I mean, Herp stations. I was with somebody that is a friend of his. That's how I met him, and she was all excited and said, and he goes, "Oh, electric charging is free. It's always going to be free." And I looked, I said, well, then, appreciate it. Nice to meet you. She goes, isn't he such a great guy? I go, no, he's full of poop. I go, I love him. He's telling everybody it's free. I said, when there's enough demand, he will charge. And she's like, oh no, you heard what he said. Never. And I'm like, yeah.
Try charging a Tesla in public now.
That's one of those type of people that, they believe in some things that I don't believe in. But anyway, let's get back to what we're supposed to be here for.
Let's talk about Pocono or Denny Hamlin Raceway, as we can almost. So Denny's got 34 starts, 7 wins, 15 top 5s, and 22 top 10s. If you're going to bet against Denny Hamlin this weekend, do it at your own risk.
That's a fifth of the time he wins. I mean, that's
crazy at a place like Pocono.
That's 20% in case you're going at
track
home.
For the last few years, we've only been running at once. Now, for a while, we were running there twice a year, so we had more opportunities. But still.
Listen, 22 top 10s, 7 wins. When you look at that, that's 20% win rating at a racetrack. Richard Petty didn't have that stat anywhere. It's phenomenal. And when we get to
and he's also the winner of the past race at Pocono. He won there in 2023.
When you get to our screen of the prop bets and our manufacturer prop, you will see that they're leaning heavily on him. But also the guy who's second in that category, though, Tyler Reddick. I know he's not on doesn't have enough data points really to be on the sheet.
Tyler's finished second in the last 2 races where I was heading. So he's definitely going to be a strong competitor this weekend. The guys who actually have had the most success behind Denny Hamlin are 2 guys who have not had a ton of success this particular year, especially at the very top is Kyle Busch. He's got 4 wins. He's second among active drivers. But
I'm going to be Jeff Motley. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
Look, he's been fast. He's actually been top 10, not saying win. He's been top 10. If you look, I listened to his crew chief. I'm drawing a blank right now. He was talking the other day about they gave away like 60 points in 3 races where they were running 4th through 8th with 10 laps to go, and all of them went sour.
But then you have races like New Hampshire where
he was just out to lunch the whole day.
To lunch. And now, granted, Nashville had a great opportunity, and things all went south for him late there at Nashville. And he did get a top 10 this past weekend at Chicago. But again, I still think that's a tough bet.
It's a tough bet just because, like we said, the Jeff Motley. What have you done for me lately? Kyle Busch, phenomenal. But just lately not. And the one I like on there is that 1 win from Chris Buescher. 14 starts, 2 top 10s, but he had the most famous win in the history of Pocono, even more famous than Harry Gann hitting the deer, which was the fog race.
The fog race where pretty much everybody pitted but him, and then they never did get
they couldn't get it back going.
Couldn't get the race restarted. A few guys with wins here, but one guy also I want to point out, he's only got 1 win here.
Okay.
But he's made 26 starts, and he's got 11 top 5s and 15 top 10s. And that's Brad Keselowski, and we know that Brad Keselowski has had a resurgence this year. He's found victory lane this year. He's going to be in the playoffs. He's running well. I think if you're looking for a guy who maybe is not the Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick sexy pick, Keselowski's an interesting choice here.
When we get to the odds, I think it'll be even more interesting.
And there's a guy who has 16 starts here, Brendan, who has never won at Pocono. Kyle Larson. Could this be a breakthrough week?
Always runs well. I mean, look, 5 top 5s, 9 top 10s, always runs well, just hasn't won. And if you think of some of those things, they had the dust up where he got caught up in the Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain deal a couple years ago. He's been leading a couple times and had some late race incidents. Why was that so difficult just now?
Kind of semi-rhyming, I guess.
Yeah, that was, ooh, that's pineapple right there. If you know the old Dave Moody joke. Yeah, he's run well. Just doesn't have the wins. So Kyle Larson, Chevy's biggest threat. But when you look at the best here, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, what he's done lately, that is why I think I'm going to be heavily looking at some of these Toyotas this week.
All right, well, let's take a look at our odds to win this week. Denny Hamlin, no big surprise, is the favorite, plus 400. Then it's Kyle Larson, without a win here, comes in next at plus 500. Christopher Bell, I don't believe he's got a win at Pocono either, a plus 700, but Bell has been good every week. And then Tyler Reddick and Martin Truex Jr. both at plus 800. William Byron is 10-1. Chase Elliott 12-1. Ty Gibbs 14. Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski both at 16-1. And Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski are two guys who, and we talked about Keselowski. Blaney also has been very, very solid at Pocono.
Yes. I was going to laugh. I was going to give you a random stat. The best point getter in the last 10 races at Pocono, Kevin Harvick. Don't bet him. Chase Elliott on that board right there at 12-1. I kind of like that. Chase Elliott, 6 top 10s, 3 top 5s last 10 races, 1 win in the last 10. You look at Chase Elliott there, and his win was actually just
2 years ago.
Yeah, not just 2 years ago. So I like that 12-1 on Chase Elliott, who hasn't been running bad. I mean, Chase was your point leader for a brief moment after Larson got his penalty and Denny kind of faded, and you and I kind of went, where did Chase Elliott come from? So 12-1 on Chase Elliott, that's a good one. And Ty Gibbs, he's won there in ARCA, he's won there in the Xfinity, I think he's won there in Truck even. So that Ty Gibbs, I've been high on Ty again lately.
And he's run well in Cup at Pocono.
Ty was great all season, right? And then he started off strong. We were saying when, not if, but when Ty gets his win, then we stopped talking about him. And I've been high on him, the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, where I said he's starting to click that way back up. I think Ty Gibbs, maybe not to win, but well,
and he was the name I was going to bring up too. I mean, he's driving a Toyota, and we know how strong the Toyotas are at Pocono. We know what Hamlin and Reddick are capable of doing here. We know what Truex has done here in the past. So that's why I think both Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs, Ty Gibbs has never won a Cup race, period, but neither have won at Pocono. Would not shock me at all to see either one of those two Toyotas end up in victory lane this week.
And Ty, last year finished 6th.
All right, let's take a look at our longer odds. We mentioned Kyle Busch earlier. He, along with Ross Chastain, are 25-1. Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano, and Chris Buescher all at 30. Big numbers on Daniel Suarez, Noah Gragson, and Josh Berry are all 100-1. And the field, which has a lot of drivers in it, is 20-1.
And listen, this is a place where we end up with fuel mileage. We end up with, because remember, this race can run like a road course where you can pit and not lose a lap. So guys pit early, guys go off sequence, guys do a whole bunch. I would not be certain. This would be one of the few weeks where I wouldn't. It's worth putting $5 down on a field to win $100. That there, because some things can happen here. But how about that Bubba Wallace number? Bubba finished, last year in this race, Bubba finished 11th, but stage points 7th and 9th, ran strong most of the day. Trying to look down at Bubba's, his overall stats here. Where is old Bubba Wallace? Average finished 19.4, maybe not to win, but as good as the Toyotas are, so if you look at Bubba's last 7, they were all outside the top 10, but then he goes 5th, 8th, and 11th. So Bubba has gotten better at this place. Bubba he's with Tyler Reddick as his teammate, Denny Hamlin as his owner, so those Toyotas are going to be strong and be great at this place. If he's smart, he asks for some advice. Looks like he has. And I wouldn't be shocked if Bubba has a pretty good day at this race.
Yeah, I could see Bubba having a solid run here. And a couple of those Chevys there, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, would not surprise me to see either one of those guys have a strong one. Again, picking them to win might be pushing it a little bit.
A little tough, but Bowman got a win here. 4 top 10s and has a win in his 10 races at this track. Now, it was in 2021 when they did the doubleheader day. You remember they had the Saturday Sunday. Alex Bowman won one of those races, so I wouldn't put it against him, especially now that he's riding high. Right. But those Toyotas here, man, they're tough.
Well, let's take a look at our top threes. Denny Hamlin sits at the top of our chart at plus 110. Kyle Larson's plus 130. Christopher Bell plus 180. Reddick and Truex both at 200. Byron at 250. Chase Elliott 300. Ty Gibbs 400. Ryan Blaney 425. Keselowski 450. Chastain, Busch, and Logano all at 600. Buescher 850. Bowman 850. And Bubba coming in at plus 900.
Now we're talking. How about that Ty Gibbs number? I just said how high I was on him.
Ty Gibbs 400 and Brad Keselowski 450 are both really good numbers.
I lock onto. The Chris Buescher 850, I know he's got the win. Chris has been a little bit of a lull lately, if you really, talk about where he's been running. But anything from that Chase Elliott at 300, Ty Gibbs 400, Brad Keselowski 450, Ross Chastain.
I think Chastain will be solid. Top 3, it could happen. I mean,
that's the thing.
That's why it's plus 600.
Ross and that team right now have been so up and down. And if you remember, Ross has been faster. This is where the famous Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain beef started, right? Where
was it here or was it Gateway?
They did it. They did one here, a big one here.
A big one.
Oh yeah,
and Gateway. I think it was when Denny was
they started beating on each other hard. But I look at Ross Chastain's finishes, and part of this is because of Ross Chastain's personality. Not good, right? 30th, 33rd, 26th, 32nd, has a 13th. In the one race, he didn't get into a Hasselhoff with anybody. So, Ross does it to himself here. And I think the problem here is you have such a long straightaway to piss yourself or other people off. That's what hurts Ross Chastain here. So I'm going to fade him on this one.
Well, let's take a look at our longer odds for top 3s. Daniel Suarez is 22-1, Noah Gragson 25, Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, and Eric Jones all 28, Gilliland and McDowell 35, Hocevar and Cindric at 40, Dillon and Stenhouse and Allmendinger all at 50-1, Ryan Preece, Justin Haley at 60, Zane Smith, John Hunter Nemechek 100-1.
I would have looked at Dinger and said, all right, runs like a road course. Now they shift everywhere, but a lot of shifting, the pit strategy. But Dinger's just not been running good this year.
There's a name up there that the number is so big.
Okay.
And we talk about road course and how Pocono's a little bit like a road course. Michael McDowell is 35-1. I know we were talking about McDowell earlier in the show.
Yeah, no, I was actually looking up his stats right as you were saying those numbers. He's got 2 top 10s last 10 races, and he's got a 6th place finish in 2022.
And clearly the announcement that he's leaving that race team is not having any negative effects on there. I don't think there seems to be any issues there. I guess.
No, I don't think so either. It looks like they've done a nice job of they've said that Michael was not in the meetings, right, in the Ford meetings, but he is still, his crew chief is, and they're still getting all the data they're supposed to get because they're a tier 1 team now. I don't dislike Michael McDowell on a 3rd place, as well as that team has been running all the news, all the great things that I'm sure Ford is already starting to move some of those resources from Stewart-Haas over to Front Row and over to Spire. So I don't think that that's a bad bet if you're looking for that good long shot. I don't dislike it.
Well, and I think there was actually a news report this week, or they would talk about it on the broadcast, that there's some of the meetings that he's not in. He's not part of.
He doesn't get to be in part of the meetings.
Because he is switching manufacturers
crew chief is, though.
With the move. But that's right, because the same crew chief is going to be sticking around there, and obviously new guys going over there. All right, let's take a quick look at our driver head-to-heads before we move into our next break. And, Christopher Bell is getting a plus 140 on Denny Hamlin, and so is Tyler Reddick. That's a pretty big number just to go head-to-head.
Just to go head-to-head, the 140 Tyler Reddick, yeah, I mean, I get that you're going up against Denny Hamlin, but that head-to-head number, Tyler Reddick has been really good. Like you said at the start of the show, he finished 2nd last year, led 16 laps, 4-6 in stages. He's fantastic here.
All right, Brendan, we come back. We're going to start getting into our group matchups.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back here on Gaughan Racing, Jeff Miley, Brendan Gaughan. Brendan, never a dull moment here in the
Always
studio.
Fun.
We might have had
Always
our timing messed up, but we had a clock, just so everybody knows that we have a clock that we watch when they're in the studio. Well, the clock kept repeating the same minute over and over.
And we're the only show that has the Sirius XM where we actually have to have some commercial breaks in here. So it kind of matters to us. And we were talking, we looked up and Ann's giving us the,
when I'm trying to wind up because we got a minute and a half to go, and then I talk for a minute and a half, and I got a minute and a half to go, and I'm like, what on earth? How
did we get here?
So
Groundhog Day. Let's go to those head-to-heads real quick.
That clock was definitely So let's get back to our head-to-heads. We don't have to get into group matchups quite yet, but because there's one other one. Well, actually, there's two other ones
there's a
that
few
I really kind of like. Tyler Reddick's plus 130 against Kyle Larson.
That was where I was going.
And I talked about him a little earlier, and I know you're kind of on the Chase Elliott bandwagon here, but Brad Keselowski's getting a plus 130 against Chase Elliott.
I don't dislike the Brad Keselowski. I looked more at the Ty Gibbs Chase Elliott. The Ty Gibbs plus 110. If I said how good Chase was here, and I am high on Chase, but I also am pretty high on that Ty Gibbs right now. So with the way Toyotas are here, with where he finished last year, I looked at that. But we talked, okay, Tyler Reddick versus Denny Hamlin. That's a big number, plus 140, right? Well, hold on. I can drop down to Kyle Larson, who's never won here, run well, but never won, and I can go get 130 on him as a head-to-head versus Larson, who that kind of excites me a little bit more than trying to go up against the juggernaut that is Denny Hamlin at Pocono.
Yeah, I think I'm staying away from betting against Denny Hamlin here on anything. I think if it just does. I know the odds are enormous, in which we're getting ready to get into our groups now, and if you take a look to start with at Group A here, you'll see how enormous that the odds really are. Denny Hamlin is an overwhelming favorite in Group A at plus 195. Favorite. Yep, kind of something like that.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like you saying a Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff.
I love that. Anyway, Denny's big favorite, plus 195. Kyle Larson, plus 235. And get this, folks, Christopher Bell, arguably the hottest guy on the circuit, at plus 330. And Tyler Reddick, coming off of back-to-back runner-up finishes at Pocono, is plus 360. Is that enticement enough?
That is enticement. I mean, do I take the head-to-head at 140, or do I go just take him right here at 360? That's a big number. But he's got to beat. Listen, I don't think Larson should be second in that group. You want my honest opinion? So I don't dislike.
I would probably make Bell.
I don't dislike the Bell.
I might go Bell, Reddick, Larson if it were me handicapping.
You still. Well, listen, you're below the Mendoza line, so you need something. So you might have to do it.
Thank you. Appreciate you reminding me of that.
I talked about it on Punchlines too.
I was very disappointed.
And amazingly enough, Frank understood the Mendoza line thing, which was. I was shocked.
Well, good. Yeah. And I will tell you, I was as disappointed as anybody that Chastain decided to come in and put on the racing slicks, because I thought, okay, at least I got Chastain winning his group, because he literally was 15 spots ahead of everybody in his group. Okay. All right.
I like DNC here. I like Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick.
All right. Let's move along. Now, after we get past Group B, and I have peeked ahead, we are going to see some groups that are very, very difficult to pick. Group B does have some separation in it here. Martin Truex Jr. is a favorite at plus 220. William Byron at plus 250. Chase Elliott plus 295. And then Ty Gibbs a plus 320.
I like that right there. 320 Ty Gibbs. That means I can leave the head-to-head alone, because I don't think that Truex, even though he's been so great here, and the old stats of Truex here, but he did finish third last year in this race, seventh the year before, how good the Toyotas are. But I love that Ty Gibbs 320. It means I can get away from maybe the head-to-heads a little bit and just pick him right here, get a better return than I would against the Chase Elliott head-to-head.
Well, I hate to admit this, but I'm totally with you 100% here. I really love Ty Gibbs here.
Damn it, I can't bet this now.
Well, it's funny. Last week, you and I had two of the same bets, and we lost those two. So the ones you got right, it's
the moosh. Let me introduce you, gentlemen, to the moosh.
Right, you certainly should not be picking the same ones that I'm picking right now. I'm definitely on a little bit of a cold streak or an unlucky streak, however you want to slice it. But no, I love Ty Gibbs here.
Yeah.
You mentioned Truex in a Toyota, but guess what? So is Ty Gibbs. Yep. He's also in a Toyota. And look, the day is Ty Gibbs is going to win a race. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I would not be shocked to see it happen this weekend at Pocono. Clearly, he needs to qualify well because I think that's important at Pocono, and we'll see how things go at the Pocono. But I like that. All right, let's take a look now at Group C. And again, the next four groups, they are all very, very tightly packed together. Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain are three co-favorites at the top at plus 265. And then last week's winner at Chicago, Alex Bowman, is plus 275.
Yeah, they are tightly grouped here, but I talked about Ross Chastain's stats here, not good, and all that. We've talked about Kyle Busch. Now, if you take Kyle Busch as Kyle Busch, oh God, don't bet against him here. I mean, 265, that's still a great number. But I look down to that Alex Bowman bet, got a win here, has done well recently, is running well right now. I think that maybe that Alex Bowman, the dog there, 275, is my favorite. The Bubba Wallace scares me because he's in that Toyota, and I just talked how well he is. So I'm torn between Bubba and Alex Bowman on this one.
Well, and I think it's a tough group to pick. I kind of am probably just like you in that regard. I'm probably leaning a little Alex Bowman. Chastain the thing with Ross Chastain
gives me nothing here.
But it also wouldn't shock me to see the guy finish in the top three because Chastain can be very unpredictable.
No, but Chastain has run great here. He gets them long straightaways, and his aggressiveness gets him in trouble at this place. So his own self gets in his way here.
That's fair assessment. All right, let's take a look at Group D. Our co-favorites here, Chase Briscoe and Noah Gragson, both at plus 265. And then Josh Berry, who had an absolutely miserable day at Chicago. I mean, Josh Berry probably won't ever even eat a deep dish pizza. He had such a bad experience with Chicago. He and Todd Gilliland are both at plus 270.
I couldn't give you a single thing to differentiate this entire group.
That's why they're packed so closely together.
That's why they're 65s and 75s, or 65s and 70s. This is just on a feel. Whoever you think you need, go after. Otherwise, I can't. I mean,
I honestly,
2 Stewart-Haas Fords, 3 Stewart-Haas Fords, and a front row Ford.
Well, and it's probably it's kind of that thing you throw the blanket over because you could make a case for and against all.
In my opinion, they're going to be 11, 12, 13, and 14 right there.
Briscoe, Gragson, and Berry, 3 Stewart-Haas guys who all have new rides for next year. So at least those guys can take a big, deep breath. Gilliland, Gilliland's been
good. He's got a kind of
fairly solid. All right, let's take a look at Group E real quick. Daniel Suarez is the favorite in Group E at plus 240. Michael McDowell and Carson Hocevar both plus 270, and Austin Cindric plus 295.
You mentioned that Michael McDowell earlier in the show. Suarez always scares me a little bit, but I'd be hard to bet McDowell a Ford versus some of these Chevys with how Fords have been. But I'll tell you what, that Hocevar, just once again, that Hocevar sticks in my head, Jeff. Kid's been good.
Yeah, I think I like McDowell here just because, first off, experience factor. I think it's a track that will set up well for him.
Watch out for the Hocevar.
Watch
out for the Hocevar.
Okay, all right. I kind of like McDowell here. All right, we come back on Gaughan Racing, have our final segment, and we'll tell you how we did last week and give you our picks.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold them or fold them, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day.
Bingo!
And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind Racin sportsbooks. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sportsbook, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the Racebook, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
All right, back here on Gaughan Racing. Jeff Motley, Gaughan, and Brendan went to Georgetown, and we can figure out the math, because right now we're actually trying to figure out if our show's going to be too long, too short, thanks to our clock malfunction.
Hey, listen, we love our people on SiriusXM. Thank you very much. We got to make sure the show's right. Don't mess up, Ann.
Yes,
this is all on Ann now. Yes. We're pointing back to the booth. I got blank faces behind the glass. They're all going.
Yeah. They don't really know what time we're ending. We might just be babbling along, or I don't even know. We might have to talk about
bubbling along.
We have to talk about golf or baseball or something here.
Beautiful briny sea.
So yeah, because I'm even confused myself. This is some Stephen Hawking math we've got to figure out here. Do you
remember Bedknobs and Broomsticks, the cartoon?
The who?
The Bedknobs and Broomsticks, the old Disney movie from the 1970s.
You know how long ago that was?
Angela Lansbury.
Was she in that?
Yeah.
Bedknobs and I remember Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but
bubbling along.
You know, I'm getting. Oh, by the way, speaking of getting old, a little belated happy birthday to you. 49 years old. We're recording the show on Thursday. So
mentally 13.
I'm looking forward to the big 50 bash next year. I hope that somebody's got something.
I will be disappearing from the entire world with the few people that I want to be with, so nobody can find me. Phone will be off. Gaughan Racing will be canceled that week.
All right. Well, I'll see if I make the cut for the party or not. So
it'll be my boys, and that's about it. Okay. Somewhere hidden.
Fair enough. Probably somewhere that what is that thing? Starlink. Where Starlink.
I'll find a place Starlink. I'll work hard to find a place that Starlink doesn't work.
Brendan will be doing the show from the moon next year at this time. Okay, where were we?
We were doing Group E, yes, and I was saying that I just like Carson Hocevar. I think Hocevar, if you take this group as a whole, Cindric is one. I get it. But that one win, the one win Cindric had, he's had one other week that kind of backed it up. And other than that, Cindric has just been, what Cindric has been. But that Hocevar kid, just something about him. When he shows up, and I like that. It's 240s, 270s. I mean, it's a tight group. I don't like it. But if I was going to pick one, I think that Carson Hocevar, it's just, I like that.
No, very close group. I don't disagree with you there. Now, Group F, Brendan, there's a reason that there's an F after the name group in this. I'm just, boy, this is going to be a fun one. Ryan Preece is your favorite in this group.
Co-favorite.
Plus 255.
Co-favorite.
No, I've got him as on my sheet.
No,
maybe
co-favorite.
They're all screen different.
All right there. 65, okay. 65,
my screen's
65.
got him at 255.
Oh, right.
You're looking at
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Screen,
yeah, no, he is the favorite.
Okay, Ryan Preece, plus 255 is the favorite. Then Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., both at plus 265. And Corey LaJoie, who you were bashing a little bit early in the show, at plus 285.
Look, I'm not bashing. I don't want to bash Corey. I mean, I like Corey a lot. He just has not done what we expected him to do this year.
He's got that podcast, Stacking Pennies. He's going to be stacking half pennies. Get it going.
Yeah, but he's got Rodney Childers coming. That boy right now he's probably the happiest guy in the country now.
He's going to be stacking nickels next year.
He might be stacking quarters. Look, if I go to the stats, Austin Dillon average finish 19.2, Ricky Stenhouse average finish 19.9. Now, Austin Dillon, though, that RCR team has been out to lunch. So I think I can take that one out. I can look at Ricky Stenhouse average finish 19.9, and then Ryan Preece average finish 23.9, and Corey has not been good there. So, Corey LaJoie's 27.8. That leans me right there to go heavily on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And who finished in the top 5 or top 10 last week? Who has these races that we scratch our head and go, hey, look, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. somehow showed back up. The only team, they don't have all the turmoil around them. They don't have changeover. They've just been pretty solid moving forward. I like Ricky Stenhouse here.
Yeah, I like Stenhouse too here. I agree. Stenhouse guy, he's settled for next year. He's not a guy worrying about a contract, worrying about a ride. He knows he's got his ride. And, it's like Stenhouse is that guy that, he's not the guy outside the top 30 or top 25 most every week. He's not usually running in the top 5 every week, but he is around. And if you're in Group F and you're running against Ryan Preece, Austin Dillon, and Corey LaJoy,
all you have to do is be around.
All you got to do is be around. And I mean, there's no question why he couldn't go out and have a top 15 finish. And I think a top 15 finish should be enough to win this group.
Nope, I'm with you.
All right, let's take a quick look here at our manufacturer props. And, last week we had this major advantage for was it Chevrolet last week?
Chevrolet last week.
And they came in on the minus 110. And so this week we're flip-flopped because it's Toyota who's getting the negative love here at minus 115. Then the Chevys at plus 170 and Ford again, huge plus 400. So
look, I looked at this when I saw it, and I mentioned at the top of the show. I think that absolutely we are. It's right. I think that Toyota deserves to be the favorite, and a minus 115 is probably the right number. And the plus 400 on Ford is not enticement enough for me to bet it. I'm sorry. I don't see anybody in the Ford camp. We have not seen Logano run well enough. We haven't seen Blaney run well enough. We haven't seen the Stewart-Haas cars run well enough. We haven't seen the Penske cars run well enough for me to jump on and say, I'm going to hit that. So it's minus 115 is a great bet, and I'd even bet it at the minus 150. That might be one of the few minus bets I would take.
Yeah, although I tell you, the fact that you can get a nice plus number and you get to have Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman and a name that other than just glossing over him when we were doing the top odds to win and the odds for top 3, we literally have not even brought up is William Byron. Hendrick car, and there's no reason why Byron couldn't have a decent run this week.
No, and Byron, I mean, he's the 4th best point getter last 10 races, 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 2 top 5s, average finish 9.9. So, I mean, Byron runs well. He absolutely runs well here. So I don't disagree, but I still wouldn't bet against Toyotas this week.
No, I'm kind of with you there. It'd be tough. So, all right. Not much really to talk about in our
we talked about Bowman.
We already talked about the fact that Bowman's numbers dropped. Really don't see a lot of movement in anybody else.
But still a lot of value there. I still think that he has value. I still think a lot of these guys, there's some guys down there that you can still find value on. Logano's, those type of guys that they're still in a high double digit. I can't disagree with those, but I want to get to what I want to talk about this weekend, which is how we did last weekend.
Well, and I'm sure that's one of your favorite subjects is how we did last weekend. You were the only one to, and actually you were the only one to come out in the positives, thanks to that top 5 finish that you picked with Ty Gibbs last week. So that was huge for you. And also you had a head-to-head with McDowell over Byron. The pit crew had McDowell winning Group B, so McDowell, he kind of came in for you and the pit crew. So maybe that means I need to give McDowell a little bit more love this week.
That was last week, not this week.
That's correct.
But SVG crushed us. I mean, man, not all of us. It crushed me out, me and you. I mean, I thought SVG was going to have a great day.
And he was a victim of
other circumstances. I mean, just tight track. Right. But SVG had a great weekend. Congratulations to the young man. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
He did. I thought he was going to sweep the weekend. I certainly did. And I thought the compliment that he got from Kyle Larson when Larson talked about how he says, I got behind him to see how he did it. And he said the way he could pass people without ever touching them.
Nope. And if you watch the Xfinity race, side note, that Xfinity race, the first 15 laps, holy bejesus, him and Kyle put on with Ty Gibbs right behind him.
That was a textbook way of how you race.
Gorgeous.
Right
gorgeous racing.
Question. All right, our picks for this week. So the ones don't pick are the ones that I'm picking.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on the way that I've been going. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to take a top 3. I've got Keselowski for a top 3, plus 450. I'm going to take Tyler Reddick head-to-head over Kyle Larson, plus 130. And then my other 3 picks are all going to be in the groups. I'm taking Ty Gibbs in Group B at plus 320. I'm going to go with Michael McDowell in Group E at plus 270. And I'm going with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. plus 265 in Group F. Taking a look at the pit crew picks for this week. They are going with 3 head-to-heads in 2 groups. they're taking Christopher Bell head-to-head over Denny Hamlin, and they're taking Tyler Reddick over Denny Hamlin.
So
they're
going on the don't line.
Pit crew decided
going
to go
on the don't line
on Denny Hamlin. I think that's a big risk. Then they're taking Logano, who we have also barely mentioned today, over Chris Buescher, plus 110. And then they have Tyler Reddick winning Group A, which that is a really tough group. But hey, I think it's a lot of enticement to go after him. And then they have faith in Martin Truex Jr. in Group B. So pit crew going Martin Truex Jr. Group B.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach than that. I've been high on the kid, and I'm going to stick. I'm going to stick with that Ty Gibbs top 3. I'm going to take that plus 400 number on Ty as a top 3. I think that's. He's been proven to me every week that he's getting back to that early season form that he had. So I like it. I'm going to go 2 in the head-to-heads. I am going to go the Tyler Reddick versus Kyle Larson, the plus 130 number. That's a great number right there on a head-to-head. I can't pass it up. And then I do like their Joey Logano, Chris Buescher pick, but I am going to jump over and go Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin. I'll take 1 against Denny. Just something tells me about Seabell. Then I'm going to go in the groups. I'm going to take that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Group F. I really am. After looking at those stats, I'm going to run that number up and see if I can't win that one. And then I'm also going to go Group C, Alex Bowman. I think that Bowman is. I don't know. Do I want to change that bet?
Well, I'm actually, now that you have picked Alex Bowman in Group C, I feel really confident that Alex Bowman's going to win Group C because I had it circled on my sheet and I decided to scribble it out.
Okay.
And took the Stenhouse pick in Group F instead. So the fact that I scribbled out Bowman and you picked Bowman, and given the way my year is going and the way your year is going on this thing,
I was actually going to make you do math and do the Toyota minus bet. I was going to do the minus 115.
Well, I know how to subtract minus 1.15.
Yeah, if you've seen some of his addition in the past, it's just like playing hearts with my dad. Don't let my dad keep score. It's amazing how some hands have 24 points and some hands have 28 points. It's
like when a golfer, you ask him what's the best wood in his bag, and he says it's the pencil.
my 2 best clubs, the one arm and the toe wedge.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got at least one friend of mine here who the best club in his bag is the pencil. But
don't let him keep score.
No, he will remain nameless. So Brendan, we got about 35, 40 seconds left to go. How many times did you race Pocono? Did you like Pocono?
I did like Pocono. Ton of fun.
Did you ever win at Pocono?
No, I ran there with Roger Penske when we turned 11,000 RPM in a pushrod motor. And I can tell you that in my entire racing career, 2 things were scary. 1, any sort of a sprint car with a drive shaft spun between your legs. And 2, driving a pushrod motor that turns 11,000 RPM. Absolutely frightening.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Okay. That's the Brendan Gaughan experience. Okay. We've come back next week. We'll break down all things Pocono, head back to the big track in Indianapolis. We'll look for it. And real quick before we leave, get well, John Force. We love you.
Love you, bud.
Gaughan Racing.